Okay, let's get it settled. Yeah, my name is Peter.
Hi, Peter! Woo!
Thanks. Peter Linebaugh. I'm a historian. I live in Ann Arbor with my wife, Michaela, and I work in Toledo, Ohio, at the university where I teach history. I'm a professor and a lover of books, which contain...
Sorry, Peter,
Oh,
a little louder.
can you not hear me?
Good? That's way better. Okay.
Can you hear me in the back?
Now, yes. We're good.
I would like to bellow, but that is often a turnoff to the ear. I'd like to speak softly. The truth does not need to yell, but you must hear. I want to take a little journey into the past. Before doing so, to remind everybody that Maria just spoke of the school as a place of democracy. She and I and the parents here and the children know it's the place of the future. And hence, the crisis that she and we find in our schools is a crisis of our future. Our indebtedness, the closing down of the schools, is a crisis of social reproduction on a worldwide scale. And we must take responsibility for resolving it. And that responsibility began for us, let's say, in the Occupy movement on the 17th of September, 2011, when we occupied Wall Street, or sought to occupy Wall Street, to take back the place where the 1% divvy up the wealth created by the 99%. This is Wall Street. It's not a place of investment. It's a place of gambling and of tricks. When we invest our labor, we invest our time, we invest our love in our children for the future and in one another. The Wall Street is tricks and games. Wall Street gets its name from a wall. In 1607, when the Dutch East India Company and the English came to Manhattan, they erected a wall against the native people. The European settlement of North America began with an act of enclosure. The Occupy Wall Street movement of September 2011 sought to end that enclosure and to restore a commons, an indigenous commons. We have this fantastic newspaper, the Wall Street newspaper, which we were all given as a gift as we came in, and it has a huge poster to decolonize Wall Street. And I am, as we English would say, I am putting it to the meeting that our task is to reclaim our commons, because this is the reclamation of our future. And it is our responsibility, and we have begun that. And we begin it precisely as we've been brought here. We begin it with our discussions, with our assemblies. This is why the police have destroyed our General Assemblies in city after city. They do not want us talking. They do not want us finding solutions to our divisions. And we are capable of it. We are capable of finding these solutions. We did it in the Depression. We did it in the hobo camps. We have a common memory of our commons. And we must find it again. The past is behind us. It is with us. Our ancestors, our indigenous ancestors, our working class ancestors, our slave ancestors, our Asian ancestors, our immigrant ancestors, who have built our infrastructure and our structures, are behind us. Let us not do recreancy to them. That's a new word I learned from the Irishman James Connolly. It has to do with a kind of betrayal, of no longer having the nerve or the courage to either dream of our futures or to take responsibility for that future. And this we must do, whether we like it or not. Think of Fukushima. Think of the lies of the nuclear industry. Think of the lies of the government, which are polluting and poisoning the children of Japan. Who can protect them? The mothers protect them. So often the men will identify with the state and say, oh, in time we can eat this vegetable or that vegetable. But the mothers have taken, and I don't mean to make it exclusively a gender, thing, but on the whole, the leadership has been with the Geiger counters from the teachers and the mothers to find how deep the soil has been polluted. That's Fukushima, where people have been forced to begin to take responsibility. We have begun to do it here too. There is a deep link, again on the gender side of things, between the commons, the common lands, whether it's housing, whether it's gardening, whether it's parks, whether it's farms, whether it's community-supported agriculture. There's a deep link historically for 5,000 years between practices of commoning and inclusiveness and fair shares with the women who in the first place are nurturing and raising social reproduction. Yeah, so I wanted to say that. Good. Good. There was another thing I wanted to say too, which has to do, I was reading, I brought in Thomas Paine, I should say, whose Rights of Man and Common Sense and Agrarian Justice had also to do at a time when we were taking responsibility for our social reproduction. And Thomas Paine lived through enclosure after enclosure and was finally defeated by privatizers and bankers and tricksters on Wall Street. And he died grieved by 2 African Americans and 3 Irishmen in New York. That's another story. I think what I want to say, I want to remember his horse. he went to Europe and he left his horse behind in America, and his horse was named Button, and he forgot, he sometimes he missed Button, but Button was safe in the pastures, in the common lands in New Jersey. So I was just bringing it down to earth with Thomas Paine. This is one place where the commons had helped restore him. And he went through a big change in transportation too. We love Thomas Paine. Glenn Beck has one side. And here, there's another side to Thomas Paine. This summer, there'll be how shall we constitute ourselves? How shall the 99% constitute the divisions among ourselves? How shall we constitute ourselves vis-a-vis the 1%? How can we bring those thieves to justice? We need to broaden our concept of what a constitution is to include, as was said by Brian, to include economics, the material basis of our life, the class divisions of our society. This is our responsibility in the 99%.
That's it, right there.
We need to begin to think. Yes, you think that?
That's it.
Good. So I thought so too. And I went back to Magna Carta. I'm a historian, an English historian, and said they forgot something in Magna Carta. And I want to remember it. And that is the commons. The widow shall have her reasonable estovers in the common. The estovers, this is the wood. That was the woodland epoch. Then is the coal epoch, and now is the nuclear epoch. We survived these epochs. We can deal with it. The estovers is that the widow, she shall have her fuel. She shall have her pharmacopoeia. She shall have the fuel for cooking. She shall have tools or for rake handles.
Honey.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Michaela. All right, darling. Yes, she shall have her honey in the woods. All of this is in Magna Carta. I'm not saying let's go back to feudalism. No, I'm saying let's go back to honey. Let's go back to warmth in the winter. We want to live not only freely, to my brother in the AAUP, we wish to live warmly.
Yeah.
We wish to live sweetly.
Yeah.
We wish to live with nurtured bellies. We wish to live with singing children. We wish to live to honor our ancestors. We wish to live with the knowledge that history is with us. History is behind us. And together we wish to provide our warmth and our courage to go forward. Because otherwise we suffer from fear alone. But when we occupy together, we can build our spirits. We can learn our divisions. Now I'm preaching.
That's good. Very good.
So I wish to say to my sister Maria, it's not only the utopian imaginary, but we've begun to nurture those imaginaries, the many worlds, but also before us is a General Assembly and the continuation of discussion and debate, which the Black Radical Congress has done, which was done in the abolitionist movement, which was done in the union movement. These debates, then we can bring the thieves to justice who have stolen our labor, who have taken our wealth, who are producing this society of miserableism, a society of automobilism, a society that's polluted the cosmos. I better stop.
Keep going.
The cosmos seems like a great place to stop.